Hi everyone, this is the week 2 review and discussion for module 3 for Safety 701, research methods in EHS. I always forget to click on the screen so it advances. Just want to go back to something from chapter 2, so this would have been last week, and that is evaluating the research problem. A lot of you, this last week was just about getting familiar with a citation management program. A lot of people picked Zotero. Some of you were a little bit hesitant, but I do recommend that you give it a try, especially since it's free. It's an extension to one of the, web browsers, and it should help you. The other is to become familiar with using the UWW library website and maybe some of the, what did you guys call them, databases? I call them search engines, but you can call them databases. And starting to enter some keywords and seeing what comes out of it. I know some of you were reluctant to do that. You want to use Google Scholar or just the general search. I do recommend you get in and learn to use these additional tools that are available to you. It just makes things go a little bit better, even though some of you didn't feel it did. It does. It really does. And that was kind of the whole point of last week. And I know a lot of you are scared about your topic and what you found. But this last week was all about the mechanics of things. Now we'll start getting into the substance of it. So some of you have asked, can I change my focus? Yes, you can. Next week, you're going to submit a proposed topic and question. I shouldn't even say topic anymore, question. And I'll approve it by the end of the 5th week. So you actually will get feedback and you can change it one last time or narrow it. But on the screen here, getting to what I need to be talking about, think through the feasibility of the project. The 3 students I met with on Sunday morning during the discussion/office hour, we really were able to do that. They shared their ideas and some concepts, and I asked some questions. They gave responses. I proposed some ideas and the direction it could go or the narrowing of it. And then we started talking about the formation of a study and how you could pursue understanding of a research question that we were working on. And it's not a final thing. They have to find the literature to support it. I'll talk about that in a few moments. Next is to really say what you mean, because somebody had proposed something very broad this week, and I asked some questions of them. That what does this mean? How do you measure this? If you really don't know how it can be measured, it shouldn't be studied really yet. That's for someone else. State the problem in a way that reflects an open mind about the solution. So some of you didn't do that either. You really alluded to what the answer might be. I know I had a student do that once. Said, "Oh, what's your study? Why people aren't wearing hard hats?" Well, then people are wearing hard hats. It just didn't make any sense to me. Chapter 3 continues with the idea of the literature review. The literature review, and why I wanted you to practice it this past week, and now it's going to get a little bit more focused, is that the literature is going to define what we know about a particular question. And as you build that foundation, kind of touching on what are the variables, how do these variables relate, how do authors measure them, and how have they collected the data and analyzed it, you're going to establish everything that is known so that your proposed question attempts to answer what is unknown. If you propose a question that has an answer, that's not research. You're just answering the question. It has to be something that is not known yet or not fully understood or not applied to a particular situation, so you don't know if that situation would change its outcome. Literature review must be used to provide support and justification for your question. I highlighted that. And then words, and then the more you use the UW library website and the citation management software, the better you get, the easier it gets. I can't be any clearer than that. And just to let you know, those first few slides were actually from previous semesters. Because it's the same thing. You guys are all on this learning path, and I'm walking you along. And each step, we get a little bit closer. The statistics for this week were good. As you can see here, and I did remove one of the times because somebody had posted an unbelievable amount of hours, and so it was 20 something, so I took it out. Although last week I left it in. So I don't think the time has changed much. I don't think the touches have changed much. I think you guys are still doing a really good job. At least I'm happy with it. The post went up, and that shows in the discussion board numbers about the same number of original posts, which is fine, but more replies. There was a lot more activity, and I was really impressed with how you all were sharing what you found and what you want to do, and showing support for each other. That was fantastic. So the last thing I want to say is that in the first week, the first time I held the office hour discussion, which was the previous Sunday, not this past one, I had 8 students show up. But then this past week, I had 5 on Thursday and 3 on Sunday. So I do recommend, and I think the students who have been attending these sessions can appreciate the special attention, how we can pretty much discuss anything. So if anybody is questioning or needs help, you got to reach out to me. And that's a good way to do it in that place, because then other students can also add to the discussion. And actually last Thursday we had Maggie Rice come in and talk about her experience. So it would have been good for everybody to hear that. But I think I had emailed you guys that she was coming in. So some other things that, now in your reflections, you guys shared what you were going to be focusing on and also some concerns. And so here's kind of what I kind of summated from reading everything. And again, it comes to, if you propose a question where there's already an answer out there, you may not know yet, but you may find it. You have to be ready to pivot. You better to be ready. You don't have to completely blow the thing up and start all over. No, you just learn to pivot, learn to read the end of a peer-reviewed paper in which the authors kind of pontificate on what they maybe could have done differently, or maybe something that didn't make sense. These are all indications of a different path you could go down. And I would definitely take advantage of that. That's how I got my dissertation topic. I really want you this week to start focusing on how the authors of the papers you're finding define different concepts, how they measure different variables, how they develop a construct. And what a construct is sort of a visualization of the interaction or the connection between variables in the study. And then also pay attention to maybe some of the methods, because we'll talk about methods later. So don't freak out about it. Just how did they go about defining variables, collecting data that represents the variables? Because in safety, we always kind of have to find almost a proxy measure, because we do a lot of perception type work. Even other measures that are pretty standardized kind of come out of nowhere. We just have to set like a 0 so it's comparable. I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent here. But so start making note. There should be certain studies that really are profound and really provide you with great insight into what you want, your question. Hold on to those, because those are going to help you out the most. As far as concerns, the top 2, one was selecting and defining a good research question. That's about where everybody should be right now, is being concerned about that. Speaking to me, speaking to your peers, this is all going to be a process. We've got the next 2 weeks. Actually, this is week 3, 4, 5. We've got the next 3 weeks to really nail that down. And then the ability, you guys lack the confidence in you think maybe you don't know how to do this, or it's going to be too much, take too much time. It's probably causing you stress, because just by definition that is psychological stress. But talk to me, talk to others. You guys are doing a good job. You guys are doing the same thing that other classes have done and other students have done over the last several years when I've taught this class. You're fine. You're in good hands. Just letting you know. The one concern I had are the people who admitted they don't have a concern, because markedly, is that a right term? Markedly. The people who said they have no concern are the people I'm most concerned about. They were the ones that were the furthest away from all this other stuff we had talked about. Interestingly enough, the few of you who expressed the greatest amount of anxiety actually were doing the best. So I don't know if you guys, when I was an undergrad, whenever I walked out of exam, I felt pretty confident about it. I got worried because that usually meant that I messed something up. The exams that I walked out of and I was just like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen, I usually ace those. I don't know. So kind of feel like you guys are reflecting me from undergrad in many ways. And so I'm just going to make one more push, and that is, if you can attend the office hour discussions, it's already set up. Thursdays at 7 p.m. Central. Sunday mornings at 8 a.m. Central Time. I think that'd be very helpful for you at this point. It alleviates some of your stress. We'd be able to refocus what you're working on, talk about it, or reach out to me. Send me an email. We could pick up a different time to do like a phone call. I've been doing this for years, and again, you guys are all on the same path. I understand where the pitfalls are. I need to let you fall into some of them because that's part of the learning process. But again, believe me, I'm your personal fall arrest system. Okay, even though you don't realize I'm there. This week, you guys also need to complete the human subjects protection training. It's something we started doing a year ago, and it's a good part of this class. This is the best time to do it because if anybody is going to be going on to their 789 project, it's good to get out of the way now. But just overall, it's good to go through this training. You learn more about research by doing it. Several of you have already completed it, and that's really impressive. It's due by the 21st. And this is the certificate you're going to upload once you've completed it. And this is actually someone who's already submitted it. Got it done right away. And then here you can just see the page on what's required. So really all you're trying to do is the basic stage for human subjects research. If you need help, let me know. I tried to post some screenshots on Canvas to help you out. So Module 3 is maybe it's time to kind of go back and look at the entire research process to make sure you're getting it right. And I think all the things I've really keyed on here in this video show up on this figure 5.1. And anything else here that pops up? No, this is sort of a reiteration. So I kind of got ahead of myself. Again, these were put together semesters ago. And yeah, I think we're still all there. So this last week, I used an analogy from the Matrix, the movie, in which Neo could take the red pill or the blue pill. Red pill, you go down the rabbit hole. Blue pill, you fall asleep and you wake up in your old life. Everybody's taking the red pill. I forced you, shoved it down your gullet, and I do realize some of you said, "Oh, I went down this rabbit hole, didn't help." But it's sort of an analogy for what research is. That you can invest all this time and effort and do this research project and find out that what your assumptions, what you thought you'd find, you didn't find. But that's okay. You still got an answer. You learn from the process and you move on. And that's the way safety is too. At least how I practice safety, that you make a decision based on the data that's available, you put it in, you implement it, you monitor it, and if it doesn't meet your expectations, you go back and look at all your assumptions. What did you learn from it? Can you improve from it? And so if you were to read sort of a bunch of work from one particular author, you'd see that. You'd see the connectivity to their different papers and how it advances. That sometimes they cite themselves, sometimes it went in the wrong direction, and so they bring in somebody else's work to support it, to steer it in a different direction. And that's how it is. Just wanted to remind you that if you are going to, again, go down the research or the literature rabbit, make sure you mark a path so you know how to get out or where you went. Keep track. So document as you go. Be building your findings. What you're finding out, what you're learning. It's good to do it while you're reading versus finish it and then try to remember. Yeah, even if it doesn't seem immediately relevant, write it down, write it up, and then tuck it away and revisit it later. The published literature is going to provide you with the definition for or the justification for your research question, the refinement of it, so because you're identifying variables and constructs and measures or data. That's where the stuff comes from, not from thin air. It has to come from the literature. And don't try to force a square peg into a round hole. Let the published research inform you, because you're going to use that to inform the reader on why your research question is important. Its context and justification, which is to say how you can relate to it or what it's going to be focused on. The background, so you give me the knowledge I need to understand the methods and the results and your conclusions. Think of it that way. because you're ultimately going to try to tell a story to educate others. So I'm trying to change your frame of reference just to help you out. I've gone way too long. Please, please, please contact me or show up in an office hour. See you later.